With over 800 exhibitors gathering in Las Vegas, Nevada, NBAA-BACE is North America's largest gathering for the business aviation industry. After being forced to cancel the event in 2020, NBAA 21 will simply not disappoint. With unprecedented demand for private aircraft coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, the world's most advanced business aircraft are here on display. Suppliers up and down the supply chain are represented here at this event and come together with private, corporate, and commercial business aviation operators from across the industry, all ready to meet face-to-face once again and collaborate in advancing the business aviation industry.
Andre Stein brings 25 years of experience to aviation, but maybe one of the most exciting years of your career, if I can assume, would be the last year. You're celebrating 1 year of business with Eve.
Absolutely, yes, and you are right. It has been exciting from the beginning. Aerospace is such an exciting word, but the last year, and the last 5 years, I would say, since we start defining the future of urban air mobility, have been particularly special. Embraer X, before Eve, Embraer X was created as Embraer's accelerator, our market accelerator that was looking for potential disruptive innovation, potential to grow exponentially. That's what X stands for. And we have been incubating projects around urban air mobility for the last 5 years inside that company, inside Embraer X, right? And we started back in 2017, developing solutions, developing aircraft that could redefine urban mobility, incubating solutions for air traffic management as well, specifically for the urban environment. And last October, we understood that the projects were mature enough to graduate from Embraer X, and we spun off this new company, Eve. And Eve, since then, we have been focused on this market, and Eve was created really to focus on urban air mobility, to bring product solutions to this market, so we can have the focus of a startup and be as agile as any other startup, at the same time relying on the mother company, on Embraer, on the half-century Embraer has, on that DNA to bring the assurance that we know what we're doing.
So when we talk about the batteries, you guys haven't chosen your battery provider yet. You're still looking for the best solution.
Yeah, one thing we've learned, and we carry a lot of DNA from Embraer that has been doing that for half a century, right? And one thing that I've learned that the best to decide as late as possible with these things, so you can have a more mature decision. So we engage early, and we have been talking with different providers. We have been running proof of concepts to understand better and to decide what's the best for the industry. And battery, it's one of these, and battery and electrification in general, it is one of these big enablers for this industry to happen. So it's something that we need to get right. And it's something that can literally change the world. Like it's happening with cars, right? We see that being the way towards aerospace. And one of the beauties of urban air mobility, when you think about disruptive innovation in general, normally it is about bringing some technology that's not ready to address your core market or what we're doing today. For example, you cannot have like a 100-seater aircraft flying thousands of miles with a battery, right? But you can have a smaller aircraft flying just over there that's 100% electric.
So charge-wise, you don't have the charge time nailed down, but you do have a 5-minute battery to change that other people don't, right?
The thing about flipping batteries, we are talking about an OMS guy, right? So
100 pounds.
we're talking about like 400 kilos each battery, or
400
close to 1,000.
kilos?
Yeah, that's so it is a big battery for you to go around swap, and that applies for everybody. So it's a big thing for you to swap around. Charging seems to be the best approach, and make it less complex as well, because less connectors that you're gonna need to certify as well, and the logistics of it. We are adding weight. So there are pros and cons in both approaches. We believe we can charge between average sectors between 10 to 15 minutes. So that should be, and keeping the aircraft simple. Keeping it simple, it's definitely a big driver.
Always
That
better.
was behind the lift plus cruise configuration. So no complex moving mechanisms, no moving parts, easy to certify, easy to maintain, more reliable, no pitch variation, so no like a helicopter.
So when you talk about the number of aircraft, the number of passengers, how many aircraft do you believe Eve is going to need to manufacture to have real market penetration, real market share in this industry?
We see this market, the total global market, to be around 50,000 aircraft in the next 15 years, going up to 100,000 in the next 20 years. So it is a massive potential. It's something new for aerospace, that sort of demand. And we do believe that we are in a great position to get a good chunk of this market share, as we've done, as Embraer has done, in every single market where Embraer participates, meaning from light jets to commercial aviation. So we can rely a bit on this DNA, as well as position the aircraft, our EVTOL, in a way that really addresses the core market. And the core of this new mobility, this new urban air mobility, it's particularly around the urban sprawl. Everybody probably has been stuck in traffic jam at a certain point of their lives. And it's funny when you think about it, that you can cross a continent, that you can cross an ocean in just a few hours, and then you get pretty close to your final destination, and then you still need to waste another few hours to get to your home. That's the type of benefit that aviation brought to the regional transportation, to long-haul transportation. You can bring that closer to the people. That's another point of the disruption we are bringing. Giving people literally another choice in terms of Uber mobility.
What are the benefits of the spin out now that you have graduated, truly from the accelerator into your own company?
It's exactly about bringing the best of both worlds. So we have strong relations with Embraer. Embraer is still our biggest partner, and it will be, right? So you can have this background, but have agility and have focus. So we don't need to thinking about prioritizing project A or project B. We are all about urban air mobility, as I said. So we can have that focus, and you can have faster process, different approach. We are doing things that were never done before in aerospace, like proof of concepts. That the typical tool that Silicon Valley has to do different things. But the build of it, that you can integrate that type of approach, doing proof of concepts, doing partnerships, being faster in the partnerships we do, creating these new relations in a more agile environment. At the same time, rely on some of the usual tools. For example, at the same time you're doing a proof of concept that flies and subscale models, things that are new for us. We are doing a flight simulator, engineering flight simulator, that allow us to try a lot of the software that goes on board in a very certifiable way. That's exactly the same type of tool that allowed Embraer in the past to, when Embraer has the first flight of a new aircraft like the E2, it broke all the records in the industry for the first flight. It flew maximum speed, maximum altitude, because you had simulated everything, all the software, all the control laws in a controlled environment before. So we are putting together these two type of tools, these two cultures, if you might, to create something that's really unique in the industry.
So the folks at Eve who are designing this aircraft, for the viewers that have not had the opportunity to look closely, or nobody's had the actual been able to fly one of these type aircraft, what is built into the basic design of Eve to allow for redundancy and safety of the flying passengers?
That is a great question. Safety, it is our biggest concern always, right? So everything we do, it is with safety in mind first. And when we're talking about safety, it's also about certifiability. If something's certified, you can assure that's safe, right? So it's finding the path towards certification, assuring that you have the highest possible safety level, safety standards. The way we are doing that, it's exactly relying on that understanding, and Embraer has certified more aircraft than anyone else in the industry. We've certified over 30 different models just in the last 25 years, right? And we are applying that know-how to this new aircraft.
Are you certifying these aircraft in the U.S. under FAA regulations or under EASA regulations, or what's your path to certification?
Our path to certification, it's the same as done with other aircraft. So the primary certification organization is in Brazil, it's ANAC. That has a special bilateral agreement with FAA. So we are doing that together. And EASA as well.
Dual certification?
It's triple certification, all of aircraft.
Okay.
Normally to start with. Some of them in the same date, like the E2 that I mentioned, is certified ANAC, FAA, and EASA in the same day.
Okay.
Right? Here we are working with the three major ones, as well as other certification organizations that will follow on. So primary, it's ANAC in Brazil, together with FAA. EASA as a follow-on, as a natural follow-on. and as well as other certification organizations that we're already working with. We have different projects in different parts of the world to engage with regulatory authorities, like in Australia, like in UK.
How long do you believe it will be until you achieve certification?
We are talking about entering service in 2026.
I notice you've got more than 100 orders already. Is it safe to say that the Eve folks will be hiring pretty soon for production?
We actually have more, publicly have more than 700 orders.
Wow.
So between helicopter operators, fixed wing operators, the ride sharing companies, and spread around the globe. So very successful so far. To your point about simplicity, yeah, that's one of the core values. Keep it simple so you can assure certification, you can assure something that's very easy to maintain. And one cool thing about EVTOL is that you are back to the early days of aerospace. Aircraft, as exciting as it is, it's a tube and a wing, right?
Yep.
When it comes to EVTOLs, we are looking at very different approach, very different configuration. We decide to go towards a lift plus cruise configuration. So we have a bespoke system to take off with 8 rotors that assures redundancy, assures safety, and 2 pushers. And we do this transition between the vertical flight and the forward flight. When you're going to start flying like aircraft, you actually turn off the lift propellers when you start moving forward. And that allows you to fly in a very efficient way, and allows this transition to be as simple as possible,
right,
as well as the maintenance, no tilt, no complex moving parts, no pitch variation even. That allows us to really deliver a very low operational cost together with reliability and certifiability.
How about the biggest buzzword we've heard at the show this whole time is sustainability? What is it going to do to offset the carbon footprint of, say, traffic or even, save you time?
Well, being 100% electric is a great way to start, but it's not enough. We really need to look on the footprint as a whole, right? The whole carbon footprint. Comparing with ground transportation and comparing with existing internal combustion car, we can reduce the total footprint in up to 80%, even compared to ground transportation. And the way you are doing that is going beyond just zero local emissions, and we really have zero local emissions, but you need to look on the whole life cycle from the production all the way to dispose of the battery. We have partnered with energy companies, for example, like EDP, it's a large European company, that help us to understand the whole cycle as well, that effort, and even assuring that the energy is coming from green sources as well. And that battery can have a second life. You can use the same battery that had endured one cycle of life in the EVTOL to be like a ground station, for example, and power a ground station. For the manufacturing, we can look at materials that are environmentally friendly as well, or organic materials, even interiors. And we did, so far, the way we understand it, we can achieve completely neutral carbon footprint throughout the life cycle for a very low cost on the production. So it's really worthwhile.
As you look at that opportunity to increase sustainability, I'm curious, as you think about your design, what are your differentiators in product experience that you're going to deliver? Because there's many different EVTOL products out there. Where is your customer experience differentiator?
So there are a few things. One, how we are positioned aircraft to start with. So we really focus on the market we want to address that allow us to create the most efficient product out there, that can create a sense of belonging, can really deliver to the maximum amount of people possible. And when I say that, I mean affordability, so that's really the lowest operational cost. That is a combination of the design drivers, of the configuration we were talking about. So keep it simple definitely helps a lot on that, but that's also part of our DNA. Designing for maintainability, for example. Designing for manufacturing. That comes from a lot of experience designing regional jets that fly more than anything else in the industry, for example. So we can apply that lessons learned on the vehicle to assure that maximum efficiency. The other aspect is accessibility. We really want to design a cabin that's for everybody in all different aspects, including if someone has some special needs, if it is in a wheelchair, if it is an elderly person, you and me with a bad knee, anyone really. That's good for the business even, because you need to have really fast turnaround times. So being able to board and onboard in a very fast way, it's really important for the business as well.
So Stein, would you say, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but would you say that your design approach and your differentiator is you're looking to create an aircraft with the reliability and maintainability of a regional airliner and put that into the urban air mobility market to satiate demand? Is that your objective?
Absolutely. So it can have, and the affordability and the price elasticity for this market is key to reach the volumes that will enable the market as a whole, right? When you're talking about disruption here, it's not about replacing helicopters, it's about replacing not all of it, but really replacing part of the ground transportation, really offering another option for people to go from A to B in a certain distance in a very affordable way. So if you spend $100 taking an Uber today, you should not spend much more than that to take an option by air and save you sometimes 2 hours in a traffic jam.
It's really exciting. So we've covered everything from affordability to convenience to sustainability. Any final thoughts or anything you're most looking forward to as you take those steps to making it all reality for us?
I think it's a very exciting time for aviation in general. This is a new frontier for aerospace. It's a new area to explore, and there's so much that can be done there. So I think the key message for everybody is engage, be part of this revolution. It's something you can do together. It's not one player that will do it by himself, it's all of us. It's really about providing another option that is sustainable, that is accessible, and by the end of the day, make the lives better for different communities.
Stein, thank you so much for being here. It's really exciting to learn about the products that you're creating, and especially about bringing the innovation to this industry. It seems like you have an incredible advantage as you go forward, and we look forward to seeing all of your progress. Absolutely. You're welcome on Straight and Level anytime. Please, also, I think I want to ride.
Pleasure to be here, and you are invited to ride anytime you want.
Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Stein. That was so fun.
It's great to be back face-to-face in the business aviation industry. On behalf of the crew of Straight and Level, a special thanks to all of our guests for joining us live on the broadcast set in the NBAA static display. I'm Hulsey Smith, and until next time, blue skies.